Welcome back to our series on the economic and legal considerations of hemp, brought to you by Texas A&M AgriLife Extension and the Southern Extension Risk Management Education Center. Today we're going to talk about CBD budgets and how to weigh the costs that go into CBD production. So first we want to talk about our CBD typical variable costs. And what I mean when I say typical variable costs are the costs that change based on the amount of production that are normal in a budget that we would find. So normal in a corn budget, normal in a cotton budget, and normal across the board in a hemp budget. So CBD production does require standard inputs that we'd find on any of our other AgriLife budgets. Custom operations, which are things like having a field custom plowed or custom harvested, fertilizer application, chemicals. There's a wide variety of chemical that may be applied, but right now we have no herbicides that are marked as available for hemp, though other chemicals are available. Crop insurance, which is available in certain counties for hemp in the state of Texas, and seed. And I want to pause for a minute on seed because this is kind of a high cost component for producing CBD hemp. You can see here that we have seed priced at about $2,450 an acre, where our corn seed or our cotton seed ranges from $90 to $95 an acre. So seed is a high cost, variable cost input whenever we consider producing hemp for CBD, and it's just something to keep in mind. Something I wanted to highlight. Irrigation is also a variable cost. This is something that's going to vary depending on your production model. If you irrigate your hemp, and particularly if you irrigate it at a high level, it's going to be a higher cost. Dryland hemp is also a potential production model, though if you choose to use our budgets and consider dryland production, it's important that you lower your yields, as non-irrigated crop typically does produce a lower yield than an irrigated crop. Now let's talk about some unique variable costs that are found in CBD production that we may not find in corn or cotton or even other styles of hemp markets or hemp production. So some unique costs are testing and compliance and lab costs, which can range anywhere from $100 to $150 an acre. For our budget's purposes, we've got about $125 an acre, which is standard for the state of Texas. Removing males. The difference in a male and a female plant is often the volume of the percentage of CBD that is left over after drying, and so removing males from any given production is going to take about $67.50 an acre. Hand weeding, as I mentioned in an earlier part of the video, chemicals are not necessarily marked as available for hemp production or marked as safe, and so hand weeding is going to be a very expensive part of producing hemp for CBD that we don't see in other types of production models where we have herbicides available. Drying costs are also a unique cost for producing CBD, as you have to find some way to dry out that plant to extract the CBD oil. This is something to consider whenever you're writing a CBD contract. Are you going to pay for the drying costs, or is the processor going to pay for them? Do you need to find a place to dry it, or will the processor do that for you? This is one of those things that you could potentially negotiate when you're talking about a CBD contract, because a drying cost may include drying in the field, drying in a barn, but it is probably going to be something that you want to negotiate with that processor. Custom transplanting. We have two different budgets available on the CBD production model. One of them involves seeding directly into the ground, so drilling seed. But another option that's available on a smaller scale is custom transplanting. So are you going to buy already living plants from a supplier and have them custom transplanted into a very small plot acreage? That's going to be in the neighborhood of $270 an acre. We have an average price of $269 an acre estimated. So that's something to consider. It is a higher cost model, but it is also for smaller acreages. Unbudgeted costs that I want to consider whenever I'm looking at producing hemp for CBD are potential disposal. This is a figure from the recent final rule produced by the Agricultural Marketing Service. Average disposal costs in the United States are about $14.25 an acre. There might be some flexibility in the type of disposal that you are required to undertake if your crop runs hot, but the average crop cost across the United States is $14.25. And again, this potential disposal would be a result of your hemp crop exceeding the minimum levels of THC that are legal. Potential loss from lack of herbicide and insecticide. What I mean by this is that this is an implicit cost because no approved herbicides or insecticides mean that your crop is subject to higher risk from any sort of weed pressure or insect pressure. CBD fixed costs include standard production costs like we discussed for variable costs. We typically consider these as equipment and rent or land payment, and unique costs. As I said earlier, you may consider construction of a barn or a place to store hemp while it's drying. That would be a high cost, certainly. Licenses and fees. In Texas, we have $100 for a license, $100 for a facility, and $100 per lot. You can visit our other videos that talk about what each of these things actually is. And then again, we have legal costs. Again, legal expense is going to be what we recommend you pay to a lawyer to review your contract and make sure that you have a solid financial contract in place before you enter into business with any sort of hemp processor. Please go ahead and take our survey using the QR code, and thank you for viewing.